Ini saya contoh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our 5th session of e-learning clinic 2.0. Alhamdulillah, today we have Dr. Fadhillah from Kuliah of Engineering. Okay, wait a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I have my YouTube streaming giving me feedback. So just want to make sure everybody can still hear me in Zoom as well as in YouTube. Okay, so just in case, again, as usual, just in case if you disconnected from Zoom because of the number that we can actually allow to join in one session is just 300. So just in case you disconnected and you couldn't join the Zoom session again, please visit the YouTube link. You have the YouTube link in the chat box. I will share with you soon. Okay, and as usual, this e-learning clinic streaming will be available after the session finished. So just in case you miss any of the steps or any of the explanations given by the speakers, you are more than welcome to visit the recording sessions in Zoom, and then you can follow the steps that have been highlighted throughout the session today. And Alhamdulillah, as I highlighted earlier, we have one volunteer from engineering, Dr. Fadhillah. And I really appreciate Dr. Fadhillah for giving us your time and then sharing your expertise on Flip Classroom. And to add the barakah to our session, as usual, let's start with Al-Fatiha. Okay, Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Again, I would like to welcome Dr. Fadhillah. And if you're ready, Dr. Fadhillah, the session is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. I need to test. Can you hear me, Dr. Mira?
Yes, very clear.
Yes,
thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Dr. Mira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah to everyone. Thank you for attending this session. I think let's just start because I think we have lots of people already. So let me share with you my slide. Can you see the slide?
Maybe you should share the screen.
Yeah, I think I should share the screen. Okay. All right. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Basically, today I'm just gonna share my experience and also what I have done for flipping your classroom. Basically, it's a flip classroom, and how we can actually apply this teaching methodology using this COVID-19 pandemic, because we have to prepare for our academic planning. Okay, so basically, in our traditional classroom, what we do, many of us, I think, we come to class, we teach, and then we assign the students with some assignment, and they go back to their hostel and they do their assignments. That's, I mean, basically what the traditional classroom is. So in flip classroom, what we do is we basically just inverted this approach, or we flip it. Rather than we teach in class, the teaching happens during the students' time alone, and the active learning happens when they are with us. Okay. So before I go into the what, the why, and the how to do it, let's just look at this one question. Okay. So what is the best use of your face-to-face time with your students? Usually, what do we do in our class? maybe like half an hour or 40 minutes we spent by explaining terms, theories, right? And then another half hour by doing some exercise or examples, and by some and also some discussion, isn't it? Okay, so basically, what is the best use of your base face-to-face time is a question posted by Jonathan Bergmann. And who is this Jonathan Bergmann? He is one of the founders of this flip teaching theory. Okay, so what is a flipped classroom? Before we go into the what, let me introduce to you the founders of this teaching theory. They are Jonathan Bergmann and also Aaron Sam. They are both chemistry teachers in Woodland. This is back in 2007 when they first discovered this method, Woodland Park High School, Colorado, US. Okay. They have a book. I will show it to you if you want to read. But the book, the basic idea or the fundamental idea of flip theory is in the book. But of course, in terms of technological use and other things, it has already advanced because now we're already in 2020. So this is the difference between flipped classroom and also traditional classroom. So in flipped classroom, what happened is outside the class, the student prepares for the lesson. Basically, we ask the student to do something so they can prepare ahead of the class time. And during the class time, during the class time, what we do is we do active learning when because we are geared toward student-centered learning. So this is what we want to do in class time, where participation take place. You know, no more passive learning. Basically, we want them to engage. We want to engage with them, and also that is where we our roles is rather than simply delivering content or simply lecturing. There is in the classroom where is a place where we actually engage with them, and we become a facilitator and tutor rather than simply a speaker or a lecturer. Okay, so why do we go for flipped classroom? There are many reasons basically, but I compress it into 4 reasons. One of it is students take control of the learning process. Okay, I think we are all familiar with the terms, there is no one size fits all, like if we have 30 students, we know they are at different levels of their capabilities or of their learning capabilities, right? So what happened? Okay, ya Allah ya Tuhan. Where am I? Okay. Why? All right. So students take control of the learning process, where in flipped classroom, we allow the students to goodness, I don't know what happened. Do your is your screen changing?
Yes.
Oh ya Tuhan.
Yeah, it looks like it's changing.
I don't know. Subhanallah. Let me. I'm not so sure. This is sorry. This is a new computer, so I'm still getting hang of it. Anyway, so students take control of the learning process, where our students consume lecture materials at their own pace, meaning that we give our notes or we give our videos for them to watch before before the class meeting. And also, if you notice, we have our students who are actually busy with many activities, and also we have some struggling students who sometimes they cannot grasp the learning, during class time. So by doing flip, what we can do is we can help them to take control of the learning process. And second is during the class time, what we can do is more feedback and one-to-one time with the teacher. So this is why this is why actually we want to do a flipped classroom, where during class time, students can apply the knowledge that they learn using the instructor as resources. Because if in traditional classroom, usually when they go back to the hostel, we ask them to do some exercise or problem solving or assignment. They don't have an instructor with them at that time, isn't it? So rather than having them do the problem solving on their own, we bring that problem solving task or activities into the classroom. Okay, and also flipping help students or give chances to students of all abilities to excel. And number 3, of course, why we do flipped classroom because we want to encourage collaborative learning. If you do a flipped classroom later on, probably you might see that especially this collaborative learning happens not only during your class meeting, but it happens before your class meeting, because in flipped classroom, they are, it's being divided into few stages. So you can see the collaborative learning actually also happen outside the classroom. And also flipping changes classroom management. This is more to us on how we manage our class. All right, that's basically the four basic point why why you might want to consider doing flipped classroom. Okay, so how basically we do flipped classroom? There are, like I said just now, there are 3 stages. Okay, these are the 3 things that we have to consider when we want to do flipped classroom. There are things that we need to do or we need to think about for before class activities, and then during class and also after class. So before we go into what happens before, during, and after, the very first thing that we need to look on or to look upon is our instructional design, meaning that we need to look at our learning outcome and then the activities that that corresponds to these learning outcomes, and also the assessments that we use to assess this learning outcome. I am going to show to you a sample of what I did a few semesters for flipped classroom. I am teaching thermodynamics for second level. So basically, this is it big enough? Is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. So basically, this is week 4. What happened in week 4? I have energy balance for closed system and then I will explain on moving boundary and so on. So of course, like just now, our instructional design, we need to determine the learning objectives or learning outcome. So I have my learning outcome here. And then I have to specify what I want to do before class and what I want to do during class and also after class, which I separate into 2 categories. One is activities, another one is assessment. So for before class, the activities, this is usually what we do. We actually do this, but maybe unconsciously or consciously, some of us might have done it, but maybe, like I say, conscious or unconsciously. We assign student to read something, we assign student to watch something, but if we want to do if we really want to do flipped classroom, we need to be specific, meaning that when we assign our students to watch videos, we don't simply just assign like, okay, I want you to watch video A, video B, video C. It has to be specific in terms of what you want them to get or to grasp from the video that they watch. Same thing with reading. When we assign student, okay, I want you to read chapter 3, but which section and what do they need to take from what they read? That is the most important thing when you want to do teaching. It has to be specific. The keyword is specific. Okay, and then of course, I usually have assessment on my before class activities as well. I usually do online challenges like in Kahoot or quizzes. I think at Puzzle also you have some challenges that you can actually give the student so that they can use the assessment to actually assess what they have learned during this before class activities. This is usually, I usually give this around a week. I give it a week before the class happens, so they have some time to actually watch and to actually do the online quizzes. And it's really up to you whether you want to do this like just one time quiz. It depends. Sometimes, like myself, sometimes it is just like one quiz, but sometimes I give them chance to actually redo the quiz until they are satisfied with their scores, and usually those are scores that I don't actually use for my camp. All right. So, and then you have the during class activities and during class assessment. Okay, during class is where you use that time for active learning, like I said just now, where you have a discussion, because they already watch videos, they already read certain chapters or certain sections of the textbook. So what do they, you can ask them to actually answer question from from the reading, or you can actually ask them to prepare a question to ask you during class. So that's where the active learning happens. And also I usually do problem solving during this time with them. So we know, like, where they are, which part of the theory or which part of the applications that they don't actually have a good grasp on. Okay, and then also during class, what you can do a quiz if you want. This is what most of us have been doing anyway. And you can also do reflection. Okay. And then after class, usually after class, because my class is a second level, I don't really have activities for after class, but I do have assessment after class. Sometimes if I don't give in class, during class quiz, I will give take home quiz. And also, of course, I will give a extra suggested problem. This is simply a suggested problem for them to try on to top up the problem solving that we did in class. Okay, so basically the steps that we need to take when we want to do flip teaching, basically you need to determine the learning outcome and also the what program objective for the lesson. And then you replace your class lectures with specific reading assignment or videos to watch or podcasts, and support that with questions. It has to be specific. And then you structure your face-to-face time as active learning strategies. So I know, inshallah, we will start our semester back in June. So some of us are actually trying to figure out how you can actually do everything, during this time. When is the time to actually record your videos, when to actually plan for your lesson. So I think what's most important is for you to curate your contents, because we have lots of videos available online. You can actually pick and choose the one that suitable to your course. It might not be the whole video. Maybe you can have just a chunk of this video plus another chunk of a video, but you have to curate your own content. Okay. And then of course, you need to articulate the during class activities for active learning. This is based on the table that I showed just now. All right. So before class, what happened? Like you see in my table just now, we focus on the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy for remembering and understanding, because that's when they read and they watch videos, and they also do the online quiz. Then, okay, sometimes for the before class, you might have question from your students, like, can we just read the textbook instead of watching the video? Can we watch other video? Okay, the thing is, for me, rather than just giving videos, I always give options, because I know not everyone likes to watch the video and not everyone likes to read. So by giving them options, you make it, more, I'm not sure, general or more personalized for them to choose, as long as the content is there. All right. Okay, so for during class, what happened is where we focus on the higher level of Bloom's. We do the application, the analyze, and also the evaluation. So when they come to class, they are going to interact and get more context for the content they are learning. Okay, so let me just rewind a bit, because I think when we go for online teaching, we might have a problem with bandwidth or the data. So what I would suggest for before class, this is where you can use asynchronous learning, because you can just assign and they can watch the video, or they can read on their own. But for the during class, this is where your synchronous learning takes place. You can actually, rather than having 1 hour of lecture of synchronous learning, you might want to put it into a small chunk, maybe like 20 minutes and another 20 minutes, so that you have a better, the students have a better focus of your content. And then after class, okay, this is where you want to continue to build on the higher level of learning through formative and summative assessment. Okay. All right. So possible areas for you to explore. You can actually try, because people have done this, pairing flipped classroom with other types of blended learning, like problem-based learning, project-based learning. It's just that you need to look at whether it is suitable to do during this time. And then, of course, there are challenges because some of us might think that, I mean, we might not think, but we might get carried away with videos and we forget the whole purpose of flipping our classroom. Because flipping is basically, we want to have more engagement in the class with our students, rather than concentrating on the video itself. And also, we need to be aware that some students are less motivated than others, so they might turn out learning less. So, but then of course, like I showed to you just now, if you have an before class assessment where you have the pre-quiz, using the pre-quiz, you can actually gauge how much your students have grasps, you know. And usually, if the quizzes that they do many times, more than once, you can see students that do more, they actually is much more motivated compared to the one that just do one time, maybe because they forget, they don't care, you know. All right. But what flip learning is not is, it is not about replacing teachers, replacing lecturers with videos, and it is not a totally online course, and it is not our students working in isolation. It is not our students working without structure, and it is not it is not about making our job as educator easier. So when you or when we want to implement flip learning, implement it with a conscious thought. Okay, so basically that's it. But I want to just share with you some extra resources. You can use all these resources for your online quiz maker. There are a lot actually, but these are the one that I compiled. The one is at par with Kahoot. We can say the one at par with Kahoot. Okay, and then you also have some video conferencing apps other than the one that we are using. There's Google Meet, and of course there's Google Duo, WhatsApp, and many others. These are the things that I actually try to find for you. So before I finish, the most important thing that we need to ask ourselves if we want to do flip at this time is, we need to ask first is how ready of the readiness of our students, the internet, their access to internet at their home or at their hostel, you know. Because if everybody is ready, then you can just you know, start. But if not everyone is ready, you have to think of how we can help the students who doesn't have internet access. Maybe we have to think of sending them thumb drive. I'm not sure how, but then, you know, you have to think of something. All right, so I think that will be it. So thank you. Yeah, this is the book by Bergmann and Sams. Okay, Dr. Mira, I pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dila. So I believe now we would have a much better idea on what is flipped classroom and how to sort of strategize in using such approach in our class if it's deemed to be appropriate for our course. So maybe I can open the question and answer session. If anybody have any questions to Dr. Fadhillah on flipped classroom or any other topics that you want to
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Sure.
I am Dr. Hasma from Kuliah of Engineering. Thank you, Dr. Dila, for the brief and very nice explanation. I would like to ask if we would like to make a question, for example, quiz, but then it is not multiple choice. So what is the best tool that we can use? Thank you.
Multiple choice. Quiz. That is not multiple choice. I think you can actually explore Kahoot. I've done Kahoot on multiple choice and also on true or false. But Kahoot now have an option, but that one is something that we have to pay for, where it's a subjective question, if I'm not mistaken. You're talking about subjective question, right? Hello, Dr. Asma. Dr. Asma,
Subjective question
subjective
and
question.
also maybe questions based on calculation.
There are many other. There are a few, but I cannot recall. But there is one that calculation on. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay, sure, Dr. Dila.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hasma.
Okay, in the meantime, maybe I can also share on the what we have on iTalim, which I think it also facilitates those kind of questions. Maybe, do you mind to unshare the screen first, Dr. Dila?
Okay, sorry, jap. Wait. Jap. How should I do this? Wait, ni Dr. Nira. Is okay.
There's
Should I give it
the red.
this one? Wait. And okay. Jap. Let's see.
Okay, I can stop it from my side. Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so maybe I can share what we have in iTalim just in case anybody would want to explore. And I have shared this with our Educators 4.0 last night, but I think it will be a good opportunity to share with everyone today of what we have in iTalim. So yesterday, Alhamdulillah, we managed to install one plugin called H5P, in which this tools is very useful for you to have any interactive uh, slides or any interactive videos. Dr. Farham have highlighted how you can actually use into the lessons, and Dr. Dila have nicely put into her presentations on how to be very cautious with crafting all this and curating all those available resources on the internet. Just in case this is the first time, it's very difficult to actually use a lot of tools at once. iTalim have actually provide those basic features just in case you don't want to learn 5, 6 tools, which you don't have. Actually, you don't have to. But if you want to explore, feel free. However, for the class purposes, I really suggest that we minimize the number of tools. Imagine that if each of us have 5 tools and our students is taking 5 courses, and 5 tools that we have is different from the 5 tools that other people have, then they have to master 25 tools, which is, I think that would be very difficult for our students to handle. I think we should look at from that perspective as well. So I think it would be a good idea to minimize. So it has to be purposefully selected. Okay, so the one that Dr. Hasma asked just now, we actually have this in quiz. Okay, so this is the first one that it has been here for quite some time. Okay, so if you want to use the iTalim pages, it is here. There is a quiz, and say I created one quiz here. So quiz 1. Okay, so I'm not going to modify this because I just want to show you the type of questions that we can actually have. So let me just keep as is. But if you want to enable the time, say you want to have 30 minutes kind of questions, kind of quiz. Okay, so you can modify. So it means this time limit, once the students start, they have about 30 minutes to finish the quiz. And then you can specify when this quiz should be done, should be submitted, should be completed. Okay, and then so what I want to highlight is this. Okay, so edit quiz. If you click on edit quiz, there are different types of question format that you can actually add here. So for example, okay. So these are the types of questions that we have. We have multiple choice, matching, short answer, calculated. So this is probably what Dr. Hasma asked earlier. Calculated multi-choice, calculated simple. So you can try any of these type of questions. But again, I would really encourage that after you created the quiz, try this quiz in your mobile phone. Please keep in mind, some of our students doesn't have a laptop. Okay, so just in case they don't have laptops and they really want to try, at least this function should be working well in a mobile phone. Unfortunately, there are some questions here that is not really user friendly when it comes to executing the questions in the mobile phone. Okay, so that may be one of the things that I can help. Another one is on H5P. This is a new feature, as I said. It's just we have just managed to install it yesterday, thanks to Brother Izzat. In H5P, basically, this is where we can have some interactive content. Okay. Okay, I've tested it yesterday. I've tested it as a lecturer. I've also tested it as a student. I created a student's account, which I add myself as student. So in this case, I can add a content. Say I want to have a video. So we have interactive video. Okay, maybe I can just take this up a bit. So we have the one that we have installed is true, false, multiple choice, interactive video, and there are some more. Okay, drag and drop, drag the words. Okay, so there are quite a number of features that we have installed. If you want to have interactive video, okay, so let me just show you inside this H5P platform itself, there's already a demo tutorial, kind of a short tutorial. So you can go through all that tutorial. Okay, so it kind of shows how that thing is actually will be implemented. Okay, but if you need any help, please feel free. Inshallah, we will try to have a session for a much smaller group. So maybe I can assist one sessions of 20 or 30 people at a time. So it's easier for me to sort of guide, and you can share your screen just in case you are stuck in any of the options. Okay, but if I can just highlight, this is basically what we have. And then once it is added, it will be displayed automatically to the students. And the good thing about H5P, because we put it as a plugin, so whatever activities you have in iTalim, and if it's a questions or if it's a quiz, it will be automatically graded. So let me just show you what I have yesterday. So here I have one task yesterday. Okay, so I tested with one questions. Okay, so say I have this. Okay, I actually logged in as a student yesterday. Okay, let me show. Okay, let me show my account as a student. Okay. Okay, so this is my course, the one that I assigned to myself as a student. And then if I work on this assessment and I manage to answer it correctly, okay, and I can check my grades. Okay, so it is added to my grade. So this is automatically added to the grade book in iTalim. Okay, so I just want to make sure, please don't be panicked, don't be anxious with the so many tools that we have been giving throughout the e-learning clinic. There are ways to strategize, inshallah. And yeah, that would be some of the things that I would love to share with you. And I hope if you can try the H5P plugin, that would be nice, so I can sort of see the pattern of usage on how much memory is being taken for each activities. Okay. Okay, so that would be from me. Dr. Dila, do you want to add anything else?
Um, I still cannot recall, but I recall, I think last year I attended one workshop with Dr. Joe, Kuliah of Education, where he shared using this one portfolio platform. Where our students, we can actually ask our students to create platform, to create portfolio, and in that portfolio, there is a space actually where the students can actually put their calculation work in there. but I cannot remember the name of that particular apps. But just now, I think to answer Atasma, maybe we can try Padlet. But rather than having one Padlet one for one class, if you want to have quiz or online tests, maybe we can create one board for each students. So then you can keep track of their online quizzes for the rest of the semester. And also maybe you want to try Evernote, or yeah, Evernote. There are the few things that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dila and also Dr. Mira.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hasma. Okay, any other questions?
I think I saw one. Dr. Shamsul. He asked Dr. Samshul Amri, what happened if the students are not prepared with the task in preparation for flipped class? What alternatives do we have? I think, Doctor, it's like this. If you want to go for flip classroom, of course, this is not like one time, and it's all roses and, I mean, it's not everything can work all at once, because I have been doing it for a few semesters. And of course, when I first started, there are tips and tricks that I have to learn on my own, that I shared with you already. Some of the tips, like you have to be very specific, and you cannot just simply assign them to without
Dia
guidance.
sebenarnya
Those are
bukan
the
apa
tips.
sangat pun. Flip classroom ni is just the way I understand it. Is the way you manage your class. Sebab dia kata it is quite different from the traditional one. Traditional one you go and give lecture. This one you engage the students before they attend class, during the class and after class. So they are at awareness. Maknanya itulah dia kata it's not a software, it's a method.
It's a method, betul. It's a method, and then it's a method. What I'm saying is it's a method, but then you are using tools to help you. It's not the tools too. The tools will change from time to time. The kind of tools that you use, because if you read the book that I put as the reference from Jonathan Bergmann and Aaron Sam, at that time 2007 they still have MySpace, so they are using MySpace. Tapi sekarang we don't have MySpace anymore, and they have Yahoo Messenger at that time. But now we still have Yahoo Messenger, but we are using WhatsApp and other Telegram, kan. The tools too is just to support. It's just to support your activities. But the method tu yang penting. What's important is the method. You are actually flipping. You flip je sebenarnya.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much. Yeah, because what we want to highlight is from the Educators 4.0 is that there will be so many tools. Everybody will explore more tools, will explore more softwares, but the bottom line is there are some way to strategically put those tools together. So when Dr. Fadhillah volunteered to cover the flipped classroom, I believe it's a very good topic, because all this while we believe on the tools-driven kind of approach, which I kind of a bit sad every time someone said, I only knows iTaklim. How can I teach online? Well, even know one tools, but if you know how to put it in a proper use, I think should not be a problem. Okay, so it's just that today Dr. Fadhillah have highlighted for the method for flipped classroom is how you put those tools together and where you put it for what purposes. Okay, so thanks so much, Dr. Fadhillah. I think we should have more questions. I really hope that we have more questions. I noticed that questions on iTaklim, okay, on basic iTaklim. And in fact, in the registration form that I shared with you last time on the e-learning clinic 2.0, I also noticed a lot of people requesting for basic iTaklim. So inshallah next week on Wednesday, there will be one session with Dr. Shukri. He will guide in terms of the strategy in terms of how to design a simple learning materials or how to teach in a proper using proper instructional design technique. On Thursday, inshallah, I will cover a basic Aitaklim. So I know it will be I'm anticipating a less number of participants, which is fine, but I have to do justice to those people who have requested a basic Aitaklim. So I will cover from basic Aitaklim to H5P. So I will cover that on Thursday, inshallah. And on Friday, I'm trying to get student association, the ISU, the IUM Students Union. I have contacted the president. I want to have contacted the I'm not sure what is called the leader of the ISU. Somehow I'm familiar with him, so I asked that whether he can get a number of students so we can have a forum with all of the lecturers just to share the apprehensions. What do they have in mind when they heard about e-learning? So maybe things that we can sort of put into account when we're preparing for our materials. Okay, so that would be the plan for next week. Okay, so if we have any more questions, which I think we should have more because Dr. Dila is here, she have implemented.
Assalamualaikum. Dr. Mira.
Yes.
My immediate thought when listening to flipped classroom is that for us it may be a good thing because we can ensure that there are other activities outside of the classroom that we can share with our students. But putting myself in the shoes of the students, I can envision that if you have the students are taking 5 or 6 subjects in a semester and all the teachers start doing flipped classroom method, they're going to be really overwhelmed. Unless it can be presented to them in a way that is more structured, meaning to say the curriculum itself will figure it into the student learning time. What is done outside of the classroom is also student learning time. So they're supposed to plan this well beforehand instead of getting overwhelmed. Thank you. That's just my feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Sharifah. Yeah, I agreed, and in fact, I think we should assess the course that we have. At some courses, flipped classroom may be suitable, but at some other courses, it may not be suitable. So it's not that we are enforcing every course should use flipped classroom. I think that's what Dr. Fadhillah said. But if your course is somehow requires those materials to be distributed, those materials needs to be properly guided. Okay, so it's not that we just give all the materials and expecting the students to master everything before the session start. So this is something that actually what I understood is trying to be highlighted. Is that correct, Dr. Dila?
Yes, true, very true. Because of course, if you have 5 courses and everyone is using flipped classroom, if all the lecturers are doing it with, like I said, implement with conscious thought, then I think it will be okay. But if everyone just simply, assign that video, this video, because some videos, of course, when I first started, I actually, because I'm still learning at that time, I actually give my students to watch almost like 1 hour video lecture. But then, of course, I get their feedback and they say they fall asleep during the lecture. One thing, if you're using YouTube videos, there are actually apps that you can use to post question during the videos. So you can explore on that. So if your videos is long, then you can actually put it in a segment where you have questions during in the videos. Okay, actually, I saw some question here. Before that, first I would like to thank Dr. Kamal, the portfolio platform that Dr. Joe used last time is Pathbright. You can look at the comment section. Pathbright is actually you can use it for subjective question. That's what I remembered from our last workshop. And then I have few questions here asking, do I practice flipped classroom the whole semester? Is it suitable for all topics? Okay, I would say actually flipped classroom, it depends on your subject, and it also depends on the content, the topic itself. Like myself, I shared my subject with another lecturer, so I take the first 7 weeks. So basically, the first 7 weeks, yes, I did flipped classroom for the whole 7 weeks. And the other lecturer is using, I think, more a blended learning, not actually not blend with flipped classroom. Is different types of teaching methodology. Okay, do we have any more questions? How about okay, Salam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nur Fadhillah. Actually, I'm not expert in all this, and I think this time I need to know more lah. By the way, based on your experience, and I could see that you are expert using this flipping classroom. So how far this flipping classroom, and I think other methods as well, can help weak students to understand the subject? I mean, maybe this question is quite general, but I think I need that answer to help me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sabria. How far can this method help weak student? Okay, we need to differentiate, weak student or less motivated students. If we have weak student but they are motivated, I think this method is good, because when you ask them to prepare, and when you give them the video lecture, especially, let's say not especially, sorry, if the video lecture are the ones that you prepared, or the one that you take from YouTube, and you curate, you curate your content properly, they can actually go over the videos at their own pace, at their own time, rather than, compared to they come to class and they listen to you that one time in the class. So actually, for weak student but motivated, I think this method is, inshallah, can help them to excel. But if we have less motivated students, that's our challenge. That is where our challenge is. How to get these less motivated students to actually learn, at their own pace. I hope that answer your question, Dr. Sabaria.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not a doctor yet.
Tak apa, alhamdulillah.
Samira, you want to add? Ahlan wa sahlan. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sabaria. I've seen you since the first session, so I'm very honored that you are really motivated to join us since the first day. MashaAllah, barakallahu fiqh. Yeah, if I can share about my experience, because I'm not sure other courses, but my courses, my course especially, usually students when come to my class, they already have a perception. It's a tough course with a lot of calculations, and when they heard data mining or database, usually people will be I don't know. So some students been giving me we actually nervous, madam. So, but I noticed that those weak students, okay, so we usually they are weak because we expect everybody to start in the same level. So usually I have to remind myself, not everybody starting in the same level of understanding, especially when it comes to IT. Some of them actually join the program from a school which doesn't have any background on IT. So that would be the first time they actually learn computers and whatnot. And also some of them actually join IT because they couldn't join the other program that they would want to register, that they really love to join. So those weak can be triggered by so many things. But when we know the individual triggers, what makes them weak, I think it will be a lot easier, because I assume that the students is weak because of they are not interested with the topic, with the subject, because everybody has been talking it is a tough subject. But when I call to my office and I talk to him, why you are not interested? Why don't you try at least? You'll be surprised that you can actually solve more in much better way than others. And apparently I find out that he has been getting a lot of bad feedbacks. So when I told him, you can do it, you can do it, I know you can do it, he was surprised. Can I really do it, madam? Yeah, try. So with one try. So it's just that taking that one step that usually our students are hesitate. So weak, so if we say they are weak but we haven't tried to give them stimuli, maybe they won't be able to see that first step to to I don't know to realize that they do have that potential. But up until now, I'm very honored to see that I learned a lot from those students who I perceived to be weak in the beginning. They actually taught me a lot. It's just that I have not given a right stimuli. I realize I have not given the right stimuli to wake them up that they actually can do something. So apparently, sometimes with e-learning, we automate learning, which I don't think that is the case. It shouldn't be the case. E-learning is not to automate learning. E-learning is to assist learning. And in a way, while we giving the same stimuli, we should also think about individual stimuli, giving them a different kind of difficulties. Those who actually have mastered, if we are giving the easy kind of questions, they are not motivated because it's too easy for them, and they will put our course aside. So for those who are really good, I'm giving them a different kind of sets of questions. So I have a grid of questions starting from the very easy 101 kind of questions to second year questions for even for first year. So I should have a lot of question sets in mind that we can actually use to stimulate different range of students. So Wallahu alam. So that's my thought. Maybe other people have a different thought. Okay. So Dr. Fadhillah, is that okay?
Yeah, I think okay. And from the chat, I think we have we have quite a number of other lecturers who actually implemented flip teaching. I'm reading the chat room. So I think actually, apart from me, we actually have a community here where we've used this approach. I can see Dr. Saifuddin, and then I think just now a few names that I missed, but I know quite a number. Right? I think that's for now.
Okay, thank you so much. So if there's no more questions, I think we can wrap up. So this would be the end of the session. If there's, or is there any other questions? Okay, all right. So if there's no more questions, I think we can wrap it up. And inshallah, because we will have another session on Monday, I realize I've been receiving a lot of emails that many have not managed to register or was not registered for Monday session, but now you are interested to attend the Monday sessions and all of the sessions, the upcoming session. So don't worry. So we're actually sending all session details of Zoom sessions to everyone that have registered, despite that you have registered to the session initially or not. And for those who are still interested, or you know that some of your colleagues are interested to attend e-learning clinic, but were not able to register, please inform your colleague to just drop an email to training_cpd@ium.edu.my. Inshallah, my team will assist on the registration and make sure that you will get the details of next week's session, inshallah. Okay, again, Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Fadhillah. I really appreciate, mashallah, barakallahu fiqh. It's always an honor to meet so many good-hearted people. May Allah bless you and family, Dr. Fadhillah.
Thank you so much for everyone.
And also everyone, mashallah. And also for sure. We will not be able having this session if not.
Doctor, we have this brother Khairul. Can we entertain Dr. Mira?
Sure. Dr. Khairul, do you want to share something?
Should he unmute, Dr. Khairul?
Do you have to register for a Ta'lim session next week?
For Ta'lim, which section?
So, the introductory part.
Okay, for the next week session.
Yes.
Yeah. Inshallah, I will distribute the registration form again, because it will start from Wednesday to Friday. So the Wednesday again, Dr. Shukri. Thursday, inshallah, I will share on basic Ta'lim from basic to H5P, and then on Friday we will have the session with the students, inshallah. So yes, I will open the registrations again, and then I hope I will disseminate through the website of CPD as usual and also through the DCM. So I'm sure your dean will forward to the kuliah group or to the staff through any means available, inshallah. And also I will announce through IUM announcement. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Mira,
Yes,
Dr. Mira,
yes, yes.
just for a few
Sure,
seconds, I just would like to apologize that just now I was explaining the concept of flip classroom to somebody, and I didn't realize that the mic was on. So I'm so sorry for that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know. Don't worry. Don't worry. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of accidentally the mic on. So everybody can also hear to your explanation. Thank you so much, Dr. Haslina. It's really appreciated. We really appreciate. Okay, you sum it well. You sum it well. Thank you so much. Okay, Jazakumullah khair. Again, thank you so much for everyone. Barakallahu fiqh. I don't think we can have this session without all of you. May Allah bless you, bless your family, and may Allah give you the barakah. The knowledge that we gain is the knowledge that will save us from the hellfire, inshallah. The knowledge that will save and will give our students hope to pass through this difficult time, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, barakallahu fikum jami'an, afan minkum, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.